Hey, how you guys doing? You ready for another podcast episode? Because I'm doing it. Primal Instincts here. I recently received a fan message that somebody sent in from my official website, the and they said they were a fan of my podcast and they wanted to hear some more. So I'm sure you're listening to this one. I just want to start off by saying thank you for your kind message. I did read and receive it, and I did appreciate it. And I like doing these podcasts. I like giving people something to listen to while letting you give your eyes a break. Because we all know, and myself included, we spend too much time of our lives looking at screens these days. So I'm sure it's nice to have something you can just relax and listen to without having to look at the same time. Or I don't know, maybe you're listening to this while you're looking at something else on another screen. However you choose to enjoy it is up to you. It is free to listen to. But this one, I wanted to talk about something I've noticed about me my whole life. And it's just like magnet effect that I've had with people where people have just always been drawn to me ever since I was really little. And I didn't understand it when I was a young kid. I wasn't fully aware of it, is what I should say. And as a teenager, it actually annoyed me. But once I became a young adult, I realized that it was a gift and something to appreciate instead. And I wanted to share some specific stories about what I just mentioned because I know people like to hear stories. And man, I have so many stories and encounters and just interesting stuff to share. I honestly should try to write a book one day about my life, like childhood up until adulthood, because there's just a lot of interesting stuff to share. But just some things were, like I said, even to this day, I notice it. Like I go out in public and I notice, people look at me. Like I turn heads. And it's not because they can smell me when I walk into the place, I hope. No, no, it's people. People look at me, they stare at me, they smile at me. They take pictures of me when they don't think they take sneaky pictures of me. I've had people do that before. I remember, this was a while ago. This was years ago. I remember being in a grocery store and I was in line to check out and I was looking at stuff on the aisle in the line to see if I wanted to buy something else before I got my items rang up, and I could feel somebody's eyes on me, and I kind of looked out of the corner of my eye and there was like this younger guy, and he was trying to be real sneaky about it, but he totally just took a picture of me just right there in the store. And I don't think he could see that I was watching him through my peripheral vision, but I just kind of smiled because I totally saw what he did. And then maybe like 10 years ago or so, I was driving and it was really warm outside and I had my shirt off and I was on the freeway, and all of a sudden this car pulls up next to me and there's a girl in the passenger seat, and this car like pulled up in the lane next to me and is driving at the same speed as me for a little bit. And the girl just like raises up a camera, and it wasn't like a cell phone, it was like a nice like DSL camera, and she took a picture of me and smiled at me, and then they kind of like reduced their speed to fall back, and I was just like, hey, okay, that's pretty cool. And people just take random pictures of me, they look at me, and sometimes it's different effects though. Something more recent, I was walking back to my car from the grocery store, and there was a middle-aged guy getting out of his car, and he was parked a few spaces like down from where I was, and he saw me walking that way. This guy sees me, and he turns back around and gets back into his car, and I can hear like his locks on his door, power locks go down. And he's just like watching me from in his car. And I'm like, I can see out of the corner of his eye that he's watching me. So I get in my car and I put my grocery bag in there, and I'm driving away from the parking lot, and I look in my rear view mirror, and the guy gets out of his car and looks back at me to like make sure I'm leaving, and then he starts walking into the store. So I'm just like laughing out loud. Like, this guy saw me walking towards him, and what did he think? Like, oh gosh, there's this tall, skinny punk with a mohawk walking confidently with his head up. He must be up to no good. And he hides in his car until I'm gone. I mean, I don't know why. I wasn't in a bad mood. I didn't look angry. I didn't even look at him. I was just walking to the car from my store, just being myself. But I guess my energy is intimidating sometimes. It either draws people in or it scares them away. I don't know. It's pretty interesting to see. But when I was really little, when I was like a young kid, I would get like extra attention, like from other kids. And by the way, this has always been from guys and girls my whole life. I should mention that. But I would get attention, and even from teachers sometimes. It would be from like neighbors or strangers or teachers. Unfortunately, too, there was a strange incident with a teacher. Well, first, I have a memory of I was kind of a class clown in grade school, like elementary. And I remember I got sent to what they call the breakout room. It's like because I was being disruptive and making noises or jokes in the middle of the class one day. And there's it's like this little tiny room. It connects two classrooms. So each classroom has a door that opens up to this little tiny room with a little desk in there. And they would send you there as a punishment. So I got sent there because I was being disruptive. And this male teacher came in there, and he sat down at the table with me, and he has this like weird smile on his face. And he's like a balding guy with glasses. He's kind of like, he's like a middle-aged teacher. And he's just like, oh, what are you doing in here? And he was talking to me for a little bit. And I appreciated it too, because like, yeah, I got somebody to talk to in here. I got sent to the bad boys room again. And all of a sudden, he's like, hey, he's like, hey, can you hold your hands up like this? Like with your index fingers and your thumbs together. Like hold them together. It's kind of like doing like the A-OK sign with both hands. And then he had me like join my index fingers and thumbs together. He's like, yeah, kind of like you're holding a piece of string. Can you do that for me? And I was like, sure. And he's got this white sheet of paper and a pencil. And he's just like staring at my hands as I hold them up. And he's like drawing a sketch of my hands. And it was like, something just felt really strange about it. But I kept my hands up for him. I was like, this is kind of interesting. Like, what is he getting at, And he seemed to just be really enjoying the experience. But I later learned, like, that teacher, he kind of kept this to himself, but he actually ended up coming out as gay, and he married a guy. And the school, like, the faculty was very warm and accepting of it. And, of course, I am too, But it's just like, I was kind of like, when I heard that, I thought back to that moment, and I was like, that was really, I don't know, that was just really interesting. I felt like he was trying to connect with me in a certain way, and just, kind of like casually entertain something while it was just me and him in that little room without being inappropriate or going too far. But this is just one of many examples I'm talking about where I just get this like magnetic charm, apparently. And then when I was a kid, like I said, I didn't really understand it. I wasn't really aware of it. It's like I would just have a lot of encounters like that with people, like kids and adults, like males and females. There's plenty of encounters and, stuff with people. And then as a teenager, I realized why people were, looking at me and in doing stuff like that with me. And it would actually bother me as a teenager because people would stare at me and it would just annoy me. I mean, people like to be looked at, right? Like if you're good looking, you like to be admired. I do. I like when people check me out. I like when people smile at me. I like when I can tell that people find me attractive and they're probably like fantasizing about me. I consider it all a compliment. But as a teenager, I did not like to be stared at. And I mean, honestly, I don't like to be stared at now, but it would happen to me a lot in my teens. Like for example, one of my classes in high school, there was this kid in class, and he was like the only openly gay kid in that class, just coincidentally. And he would just stare at me all class long. And once again, like I have no problem, obviously, with somebody who's gay. You know, I've had bisexual encounters throughout my life, and will continue to have them if they come along. But nobody likes being stared at. And class is already boring as it is. And you know how you can just get that feeling of somebody staring at you. And I would turn my head, and he would turn away real quick. But it's like, I obviously can tell you're doing it. That's why I'm looking back at you. But then he would wait a little bit, and then he would just do it again. And he kept doing that. So finally I got annoyed, and I said something to him about it. And it like hurt his feelings, and he didn't look at me anymore. And all of a sudden, I'm sure he didn't like me anymore. But it's like, dude, like nobody likes to be stared at like that, you know? I mean, it's weird. You're not supposed to do that. And I remember too, another time when I was a teenager, and I was at dinner with my parents. It was just my parents and me. And they were sitting down at this table, and they were both sitting on the same side of the table facing me. And the direction I was facing, there was this man, and he was probably like in his 30s, and I was in my teens, like late teens. And this guy at this restaurant, I think he was there by himself too. He just kept staring at me while I'm trying to have dinner with my parents, and like the look he was giving me was obvious. He was checking me out. Like it was an interest look. Like he thought I was good looking. And once again, I had no problem with him thinking that. But I'm trying to eat with my parents, and this guy is literally staring hard at me, and he won't stop. And I try to complain to my parents because it was pissing me off, and they're like, and they got upset at me. They're like, nobody's staring at you. Just eat your food. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, turn around, look. It's like, we're not turning around. We're not making a scene. Just eat. So I was like really annoyed because I had to try to enjoy my meal with that happening. But then fast forward to when I was having lunch with my mom one day as a young adult, and I was wearing slides or flip-flops or something, probably slides. Flip-flops always hurt my feet. And there was a waiter in there. And like we got a booth together. And when we sat down at the booth, I kicked my slides off. So I was just sitting there barefoot. And this young male waiter, he turns the corner. And this guy had actually waited on us before. We used to go to the same place for lunch all the time for a while until she didn't really like the food there anymore. But we had this guy waited on us before, and I could tell he was gay, and he definitely liked me, even though he was professional about it. He didn't say anything inappropriate. He's like, okay, guy's having lunch with mom, but I can tell by the way he's looking at me and his energy, he was digging me, and I was cool with that, of course. And, my mom even made a comment like, ooh, I think he likes you. I was like, he obviously does. I mean, what's not to like? And so this next time we're going out to eat, I kick my slides off, and I'm just sitting there barefoot. And that same waiter, he didn't wait on us this time, but he was there working. He turns the corner, and I see him. He must have seen me in my feet out of the corner of his eye. He like stops, and his eyes went wide. He looks down at my feet just like, oh my God. And every single time he walked by for the rest of that lunch with my mom, he went out of his way to try to, but fail horribly about sneaking a wide-eyed look at my bare feet. And I was like laughing inside. I was trying to just like not, I wasn't saying anything to my mom. I was just acting like I didn't notice it was happening, but it totally was. And it was so funny. I was like driving this guy crazy. because I was sitting there barefoot in the restaurant. And every time he walks by, it's just like tormenting him, like, oh yeah. It was funny. It was funny. I wasn't even upset. Like I said, as a teenager, I didn't like it. It bothered me. Like, don't look at me. Don't stare at me. What's your problem? You want to fight? Like, we're going to have a problem. But like, as a young adult, it's like, it's a good thing that people find you attractive. It's a good thing that people are drawn to you. Like, I consider it a gift now. I like it. And to this day, when I go out in public, when I'm at the store, I have guys and girls that are obviously checking me out. Like, I had like this young guy. He's probably he's probably like only in his late teens. He was pretty young. He was like stocking the shelves, and he was at the other end of the shelf, and I was like trying to pick something out, and I could like feel someone's eyes on me. So I kind of looked out of the corner of my eye, and he was pretending to stock something, and he was just like staring at me with wide eyes. I was like, oh, I got an admirer in the aisle. So I walked up to him, and he saw me coming, and he turned his head back real quick and was trying to pay attention to what he was talking. I was like, hey man, can you tell me where to find? And I just said something random, and he was like so caught off guard. He was nervous and stuttering, like, oh, it's in this aisle over here. And I gave him this charming smile. And I was like, thanks, man. And he just like, his face just went red. He just melted inside. I had some fun with it. At that same store another day, there was this pretty girl, this short girl with a big butt. I mean, like, I'm not like a butt person, but I mean, she had a nice figure. And again, I was in the aisle, and she saw me, and I ended up going to another aisle, and she went in suddenly she's in the aisle across from me, and she keeps, she's acting like she's looking around. She keeps looking over at me. I was in my tank top, so she can see my lean physique, but it's nice, it's nice to have that charm. And it's just happened all my life, and I've learned to appreciate it. So it didn't come as the biggest surprise when I started a YouTube channel with my friends back in late 2015, and started getting people who were finding the videos and just really charmed by it, man, just really taking it in. And not too long after that, I'm getting people are wanting to send donations and pay for custom video commissions. And even though that was a new thing for me, that's not something I'd ever done before, but I understood as like, well, it's just kind of happened all my life. Even with the friends that I've had all my life, all the friends that I've had, they've been close friendships. They've been like, like when you would think of like a typical straight friendship between guys, like bros, but there was an underlying love or like interest that we had, and it would be casually entertained without like crossing the line, without it being weird or uncomfortable or too far. Or it would just be a scenario where there was like a lot of like sexual energy, but it would just be held back, like contained. And this is one of those things too where I mean, I'm open about it. Most people keep that kind of like thoughts and feelings and experiences to themselves, but I'm like real comfortable with who I am. I'm proud of who I am, and I'm just real open as a person. I also don't bite my tongue or mince words, and I speak my mind and from the heart. And I know that me being this way, and all these people that I've met and become friends with who are the same way, it's obviously a real thing, and it's a normal thing. So, like a lot of guys that are, like straight, they only date girls, they only marry girls and start families with women. They still have that side to them with their friends where it is, like it's like a romantic interest, man. And sometimes people entertain it a little further than others. Sometimes people keep it completely hidden and held back inside. They'll flatly deny it, or maybe they might hint at it. It's just the way it is. And stuff like that, people usually just keep to themselves and don't speak on it. But it is normal, man. I know it is, because it feels normal to me, and it's been like that with so many other people. It's just society, It's like stigmas and stuff, and it holds people back. Stuff like that holds people back. And I've also met friends that obviously that bond was there, and they had girlfriends too. But stuff like religion would hold them back. Like they would specifically say, like, that's a sin, man. They don't want to take something too far. Because, like, me, like, I'm gonna casually throw out an invite. Like I said, I don't hold back, man. I don't make things awkward or uncomfortable, but I put it out there. I put myself out there. I put the offer out there, and sometimes people take it, but sometimes people have limitations. Like, oh, I got a girlfriend, man, or that's a sin, or whatever. Whatever they have that prevents them from fully being themselves, or maybe they are committed and they're serious about their relationship. But that's happened a lot too. I meet a lot of friends that are guys and they've got girlfriends and they like me, and we're like having fun, and their girlfriends are getting jealous. But we're not taking things too far, don't get me wrong, but still, like, we're close enough that it's making them jealous. But I've also had situations where I meet a new friend and his girlfriend and they both like me. And I've actually had like couples before ask me if I wanted to have threesomes with them. So, and it's like, in that case, it's not really a big deal, right? It's like, it's not cheating if they're both involved. There was one time when, in my early 20s, there was an 18-year-old guy and his girlfriend, and we were hanging out and partying, and his girlfriend was just like, hey, we were wondering if you'd want to have a three-way with us sometime. And like, I didn't, and I like smiled, and I looked over at the guy, and he smiled, and he's like nodding his head like, yeah, we should. But we didn't end up doing it because we were like partying, and like that was like a phase where I was just like partying a lot with people, and that's kind of like all we did. So it didn't end up happening, but it was like nice to even have that offer, to know that they were both interested in it. And it definitely wasn't the only offer. And yeah, I mean, I've got some fun experiences under my belt, and I do lament, man, that society has been is just so less social these days, and it's a fact. People just don't get together like they used to, man. Like I'm trying to have more memories like that, I'm trying to have more experiences and create more memories, because the charm is still there, man. The magnetic charm is still there. It still brings people in, not just online, but in person too. But when I reciprocate the effort and I try to be friends and try to make plans to hang out, people don't follow through, man. They just don't follow through. And I can tell they want to. I know they want to. They just don't, because it's just it's an affliction these days, man. And I think that screen time is a big part of why that is. But that's what I wanted to talk about with that one. Magnetic charm. I think that's a nice title for it too, right? Yeah. It's I consider it a gift. I'm very honored. I'm very flattered whenever somebody compliments me, whenever somebody gives me goo eyes. I love the fact that people choose me to like commission me for custom videos. I know how much people love them. I put a lot of love into them, and I strive to build lifelong relationships with my fans. I'm very happy to say that I have a lot of people who have commissioned me for videos and support me on Patreon. And a lot of those people are regulars. They come around when they can. They keep in touch. They'll get another video when they're able to, when they have the time to commit to it, when they have the money to spend on it. And it's great, man. In a world where people are less social in person, it's great to be able to maintain those kind of relationships online. And of course, like, being a creator, I don't have time to just like chat with everybody on the side. Like, I don't have social media. I don't have like a DM. I mean, you can send me a message through my website and I will 100% read it and appreciate it. But, I can't really like just like individually chat with everybody, because, that would be impractical. That would just take up a lot of time. But having that relationship, man, just being able to like film videos for people and knowing that they support me, and the ones who take the time to leave nice comments, I read all those too. It's great, man. It makes me happy to see. It makes me feel good, and I do consider it a gift. So that's my topic for that. I'm going to continue filming more of these. I've had several people reach out and tell me they love hearing these and they want me to keep making more of them. So I will find time to pick a topic and talk about it and give you guys something else to listen to and learn about me, and maybe to open your mind up about yourself or just the world that we live in. I got experiences, memories, all kinds of stuff I want to share. I love to speak my mind and from the heart. And when I do this, it is from the heart. So thanks for listening as always. Thank you to everybody out there following, watching, and supporting. I do this for a living right now. I dedicate all my time and effort into this. So all your support is greatly appreciated. If you want some exclusive content on my Patreon, it is there. If you want a custom video commission from me, I love to film them. Please send me an email so we can make that happen. thenodohero@gmail.com. And anything else you guys want to buy personally worn clothing from me, if you're in the USA, we can do that. It is something I do. And I have videos in my Patreon shop you can pay to see. And also some videos detailed on my official website you can pay to see as well if you like, through email. So let me know what I can do for you. And thanks for listening as always. And I will see you in the next one.